tell everybody the roles you played in making this film and a little bit about yourself.
Oh, gosh, okay. I told her to be careful when she hands me the mic because I could go on for hours. Of course, and you don't want to hear that. We actually did this project as kind of a, it was more or less for the students or the people that were actually at the film festival. A lot of them were very talented. There was a lot of shows like being filmed in Clonechley, which, you know, like Da Vinci's Angels and Demons, Doctor Who, some of the James Bond stuff was filmed down there, but nobody was hiring any of these very talented people. And they were all making short films, and I'm like, well, let's, you know, make a feature. So we actually took most of this as based on kind of a true story. We did get drunk the first festival. We did go into a church and there was music playing, and some of that footage is actually in there. And a lot of it happened. And then after we did the first shoot in Wales, I went home. We started, you know, getting things sorted, and 3 weeks later I get a call that the church actually burned down. So I went back, we refilmed, and then we did some pickup shots in West Virginia. So a lot of it is true. Obviously, I'm here, so we didn't die in the fire and our faces go up in the flames. But the picture that you saw of the faces, that was actually in real time posted on Twitter and Facebook. So people were actually seeing that. So a lot of the film is true, and we kind of molded it. We rewrote it actually like 2 or 3 times in order to kind of match. And I absolutely, each one of the crew members, as you know, were in the film, and we did that for a reason. A lot of them want to be directors, and a lot of them have done, you know, different things behind the camera. But what people don't realize, and I always try to tell people, because I'm not really a director, I think you have to be able to really project what you need from an actor, as you guys know. And to get that, it's not easy, not every person can do it. So sometimes when you're put in that position, it gives you a different perspective, which this was a learning experience. So that was kind of how it became. And that's why we did it. So are there any questions?
Did you guys have any questions? Yes.
Who's first?
I got a couple. At the very beginning, just to help me, do the Brits really have those small comedy sections?
Yeah, that was a reenactment, but that was actually part of this film festival. Actually does happen every year, and that was actually a part of the film festival. It was called Son of a Pitch, which Sony was actually going to purchase, so we had to change the name to something from Hollyhead or Hoorays. I don't know what it was called. But yeah, we reenacted that, and it's supposed to come off as looking, you know, very, you know, like somebody was just holding their camera or their cell phone camera in order to do that. And as you heard, there was a cell phone in there. So, yeah.
And another, I know you are the writer of this. Was it scripted what the priest was saying? Was that off the cuff?
The interesting thing about this, and somebody just wrote a review and they're like, the most brilliant thing about this film is the writing, and I had to read that to everybody. I was almost peeing my pants because I did write a very detailed outline, and we had very specific questions which we would ask, and then let him go with it. And the same with Dan. Dan came up with all kinds of stuff. Some of this stuff we couldn't even put, you know, because you kind of have to be slightly PC, especially when you're going over cultural lines. There's a lot of stuff we couldn't put that he said. So, and it's hilarious, but, you know, and comedians, you know, tend to say whatever comes off the top of it, and we would just let him roll with it. But Eric was the same. He, you know, we had a, you know, 5-page list of things, and he just rolled with it. He's actually, he's in the business, but he is actually a pastor by nature, so.
So it just sounded so natural.
Things generally roll off his tongue naturally.
Yeah.
So.
And my last one is, do you believe in the paranormal?
Oh, yikes. Oh, well, during this particular shoot, and we had some issues later, but, you know, there's places where you're not supposed to go, where they tell you you're not allowed. I don't know if you guys saw the arch, the big arch by the paint thing. There was an arch and it was all boarded off. That was an original organ. And there was like a hole probably the size of a very small window. And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to go in there and see what happens. So I go in there, but there was no floor. So I'm standing on this like little pipe, which I think was plastic. And I was like trying to pull myself up above the door. And I just fell, and I went like 3 stories down and then down a stair. So I broke a few ribs. So we were just talking, some of the screams you hear in there were actually real. So I broke like 3 ribs and a tailbone, and it was a little painful, which is why you get insurance on sets. Yeah, so I call it, I landed in the death bed of hell, because I landed in, you saw the birds and the pigeons and everything in there. For whatever reason, there was one particular room that had, I mean, it was just piles and piles of dead pigeons and bats. And I landed just face down in like bat shit and pigeon shit. and to this day, I hate bats and I hate pigeons. I just can't get near them, but there were some creepy things that happened during this particular shoot, like the fire. So I think everybody, for whatever reason, thinks that this was like a cursed film. Everybody that worked on it seems to believe that. So I'm going to go with, yeah, probably a little bit, maybe, yeah.
I think we had another question.
Yeah, did you film the churches in those conditions, or did they have to be prepped in any way? Like, because it was a set. And I'm watching this. Did they kind of happen upon this, and this is the condition of what these churches look like?
Yeah, we actually used a couple churches. We used the exterior of the church that we actually found that had the music playing in it, which is where you see, like this shot, for instance, is that particular church. The interiors we did, the UK is a little bit different with how you get permission, filming permission. We actually were going to use the set of Angels, or Da Vinci's Angels and Demons, but the time lots that they needed we couldn't, you know, work with. So we had another church and we had council permission, which is the actual church that burned down.
Did we have another question out here?
I was just going to ask, in the interview sections, what kind of cameras did you use?
We used, actually, there was a couple cameras. There was a DSLR, and I'm trying to think of which one because I've worked on probably 20 movie sets since then. I'm going to remember, and I will get back to you. It'll probably be a 10-minute. We actually, one of the problems that we had was, and we were trying to match it, which is why it looks, well, we did that for a reason, but the camera that Carrie was using in the UK, it's PAL, and he had it on a, he tried to switch the setting, but there was like scenes like where we were, you know, where we had the tea party convincing everybody to go out. We were having a really bad frame rate problem, and I'm like, I've never even seen this frame rate in my life, I've never even heard of it, and it was like 50 or something, and I was like, okay, that's got to be a derivative of a PAL instead of an NTSC, an American camera. So what we did was really try to match everything. So, you know, and we had so many different cameras. We had original footage that was filmed on iPhones. You know, we had the Sony, I forget, I have this camera, and I don't even know what it's called. It's the Sony, the little handheld with the watch thing that they have. Some GoPros, some other little cameras, so. But the interview was with a DSLR camera. I just can't, it's, I think it's a Mach something. I can't remember. I'll remember.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll come to me.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Oh, I was wondering what's next for J-Star. And if TJ
person that's out.
Really?
Yeah, I guess he kind of, I don't know. I don't think he looks like Georgie too much, but.
Looks like George did MMA for a couple of years.
I'll be sure to relay that. Well, I'm working on NCIS New Orleans still. We're working with Pinewood Studios on a Disney film and also another feature. As far as independent films, this is going to keep me busy for the next 6 to 8 months, although we have 2 scripts that we may do, although I said I wouldn't do another independent film for at least a year, so I don't know. Who knows? Any other questions?
Oh yeah, how long did it take to heal up? Was it pretty serious injury?
Oh man, I'll tell you what. Ribs are tough because you can't really do anything, and the tailbone is too. So let's just say flying was very painful for a very long time. I was supposed to be in bed for a while, and I just didn't stick to that. So I still have a rib that didn't heal right because I didn't rest. So it rubs against my lung every once in a while. Yeah, it feels like you're having a heart attack, but it's just the rib poking in there. Apparently the only way to fix it is to break it again, and I'm not opting for that, so. It didn't work the first time. So.
Any more questions from you guys?
Anything else?
Well, I have a bunch.
Okay, go for it, shoot.
So how long did it take to film everything from like start to finish, and was it all consecutive?
No, we had 3 different shoots because we had the first shoot, and that was a really quick one. We did this very much documentary style. Literally there wasn't a lot of cuts because I don't know if you know, like the GoPro cameras, I'd never worked on a set with them. To me, they're a pain in the ass. But they are great. You can flatten them out if you don't want the fisheye look. You can, all the stuff. But so a lot of it is you see like takes that are 30 minutes or something, which is why Jacob hated me for a long time. But it was shot documentary style. We did 4 days of filming the first time. Then when we went back, we filmed for another 3, and then 2 days in West Virginia. So it was a very quick shoot, but we had more footage than I've had on actual, larger budget sets, like Hollywood sets. So our editor, needless to say, absolutely hated me for a while. So there was a good 10 months where he just did not want to hear from me. It was email.
Yeah, so you mentioned that there was like numerous, even aspiring directors. Was that difficult, having like too many cooks in the kitchen, like trying to figure everything out?
No, there was a point when I think David got a little upset. David Campion, with the guy with the glasses, he said, I don't remember what it was. We were sitting around, brainstorming because we pretty much went back to back. I sent the young boys home because Carrie at the time was 16. He'd been making films since he was 6 years old, and I'm like, why hasn't anybody snagged you away? So, we'd send them home. They wanted to work, 24 hours, and I'm like, no, you gotta, home for a little bit. But David said something about, and I said, I don't care, go ahead, whatever you want. And he looked, he's like, what, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, listen, here's the thing. You're more of a director than me. You think this is gonna work, we're gonna try it. If it doesn't work, we'll go the other way. That's all. I said, this is a group effort, I'm trusting you. For this particular project, I don't think that there was one director, one writer, everybody, we all wore the same hats, and because it was a teaching experience, and it was supposed to be a learning experience. And every one of the kids that were in that have landed a major project. So I guess that's all that matters, really.
Awesome. So you mentioned like the actual filming time, and you got tons of documentation, but the editing, you said 10 months. So like, how long did it take afterwards to get it all put together?
Yeah, it was a good. It was. Let's see. It was basically a year. I mean, there was that much footage to go through, and you know, you saw a lot of it. It's just, and so a lot of it was real footage that was, you know, had been used, and some of it we had to, you know, redo for obvious reasons, like me falling didn't really come out well. But that, I was like, we're not putting that in. We can recreate that. It's not happening.
Did you save the deleted scenes for?
Oh yeah.
For the 25th anniversary release, you know.
I don't know if we're ever going to release those. There's some creepy stuff on there. I mean, even some of the sounds that we heard, you know, if you go in Wales at night or really anywhere kind of rural in the UK, you hear bats flying out of trees. Yeah. So when I went to the hospital, the first thing I said, I was like, I need every vaccination in the entire world. I've got like some bird flu, pidgey batty thing. I'm going to turn into a Marvel pidgey batty woman. And the guy's looking at me like I'm high on something. You know, so it's just, I don't know if we'll ever show those scenes. Those are a bit of embarrassment.
Yeah, it happens. But out of all those hats that you wore to make this film, which was your favorite? Did you like acting or directing?
Oh, I hate acting. And I hate seeing myself on, I cringe internally. Because I'm not an actress and I'm really bad at it. But some of those things that somebody was saying sounded like porn. I'm like, yeah, you know, if you actually hear us running, it sounds worse. I was like, Jacob, you've got to somehow fix that because that cannot. So Eric and I were practicing, he called it tethered breathing. Yeah. I'm like, tethered breathing. Yeah, I guess when you actually run, it doesn't sound quite like it does in the cinema. Right. I found this out. So, yeah, we could make a soundtrack with that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, you
Fun
saw
times.
that like separately.
Yeah, fun times. There's been some fun, you know, it was a fun project, but, you know, then that's the thing, you know, we always say we don't take ourselves too seriously. It's an indie film, it's a mockumentary, it's close, it's very, I mean, because so many things were true on it, it really could fit into a documentary. The only difference is we didn't die, so thank goodness. Thank goodness for that. But, you know, even when we were doing, you see me playing with the switches, I was like worried, I'm like, what if I did something? And my mom's like, honey, those things don't happen 3 weeks after, don't worry, you're okay. And then they caught a group of kids that burned the church down. So,
so it definitely wasn't like.
No, it was ours, and it was so strange. It was just really weird. In fact, people were asking me, "Did you plan this?" And I'm like, "What? I'm not an evil person." So, you know, it's probably been one of the strangest. In fact, you know, they're filming, or they have. I don't know if you guys watch Ballers. Does anybody watch Ballers? HBO's Ballers. Okay, so DJ, I was on the set because they filmed that in Miami, and I was on the set, and DJ was like, oh, you know, we're having, there was a particular guy coming in to clear the set. He's like, the set has it's kind of cursed. And I'm looking at him going, okay. He goes, no, you know that thing when everything goes wrong, everything breaks, everything that's what's happened on the set. So they actually have people that they'll call because people are very superstitious. A lot of actors and stuff are, so they'll bring in people to do that. So we kind of had the same thing on this one, and I think it started with that creepy music we heard. We still, and that's actually how the idea started, because from that little iPhone video, I think Rod put it up on YouTube as like a joke. And then when we were sitting down talking about it, I'm like, okay, you know, you guys need to be making feature films. Why are you still doing shorts? If you've been making films since you're 6 years old, you know, make a feature. And then this developed from that, so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And just while you were acting, and back to one of our previous questions about the conditions of everything, like it seemed like you were in dark, small, dirty places for a long time. Was it like very hard to, like, was it claustrophobic at all, or was that movie magic?
No, it wasn't. I don't know. I don't get claustrophobic. I think more or less, even when I fell in that kid. It was like, oh my God, just get me out because I'm disgusted. You know, I'm not really a big camper. My idea of camping is a hotel room. So getting dirty, and we were like disgusting. So it was, yeah, that was not a fun thing. But and I didn't get claustrophobic, but there were some places in there that would just, you know, like the bottles you saw of the pee. I mean, people were actually peeing in bottles. Like, and then putting the top back on, and I'm like, what is the point of that? That's disgusting, right? I mean, you know, it had to have been men, so I'm just saying. Who pees in bottles? So, you know, everything that you saw there, that's stuff that was in there. I mean, we didn't actually, you know, use or make a set. We just took, you know, and when we were in West Virginia, we just basically matched the same thing just for the pickup shots, which we basically used for the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah,
So, let's see. I don't even know what the most challenging part would be, if it's breaking the bridge or the.
No, the most challenging part I think would be the post-production.
Yeah.
Because my editor hated me, literally. And we've worked together probably on and off for, I don't know, I'm only 28, but at least a decade. So, you know, just saying. Yeah, so it was just tough, because if you're not used to editing documentaries, which is the style, like I said, that we filmed it in, when you have takes that are 30 minutes, it's like, oh my God, really? I don't know. I'm sure most of you guys are editors, right? Raise your hand if you're an editor, any kind. Yeah. Or you know enough about it to know that that really sucks. And then, you know, when there's not necessarily a script and you have so many people going off script, then that's a tough one, you know. So, I mean, I think that was the biggest challenge of all, but, you know, everybody was so great working together. There was no issues. Everything ran very smoothly. So, I mean, it was good. It was a lot of fun doing it. I still think it's a little laggy in areas, and I'd love to cut another 5 minutes out, personally. But we'll see.
Nice. So who were your biggest influences? Like, did you have any favorite actors, or, you know, what was your favorite film?
Oh God, you know what? If I tell you my favorite film, you guys are gonna cringe, so I'm not gonna tell you my favorite film. But I love everything Alfred Hitchcock did. Everything. I don't think he did a bad film. I love Marilyn Monroe. You know.
So, what's in your future? Like, do you have any projects that you're working on right now?
Kind of. I mean, it's my like indie film projects.
Just all, you know, about you and indie
well,
projects.
We're still doing NCIS New Orleans. Season 3 goes until I think April or May, like the end of April, early May is when we wrap that. And then we're doing 2 projects in Pinewood Studios, Georgia, this year. And then, you know, we've got some stuff next year that we're going into. Indie film-wise, there's 2 scripts that we have. One looks like it's going to get completely funded with Eric. I think he wrote that one. And then there's another one which it's kind of my dream film to make, but the problem with it is the same problem we're having with this film. It doesn't fit into a particular category. There's not one type of audience, and a lot of studios and buyers stay away from that, because it's one of those things where, like, well, okay, what's our target audience? You got a little of this, you got a little of that. So this other project and it was written, you know, years ago, but it's still it would be great to make. It's something nobody else has done yet, but it crosses those lines and those boundaries, which is a little bit tough. So we'll see what's in the future. Who knows?
Is there, like, can people keep up with you personally or through your company?
Oh yeah, Twitter. You know, I have a website, jamieleesmith.net. That's not too hard. Twitter's jrockstar007, so I'm always tweeting or something.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming here.
Thank you for having me. It's been a great festival, and I love being here. I'm going to go to the Lost Colony of Roanoke, and if I disappear, that's where I'll be. Let's hope
We're
not.
gonna investigate that paranormal. if
Like
it
I
exists
said,
or not.
if I disappear.
Yeah. Any chance that you might come here to do some filming in the future?
I would love to. I'm a big tax credit person. In fact,
Yes.
I just found out we could get a tax credit for this, in fact, before the whole Brexit issue. And then now they're putting the co-production stuff, and I don't know about production reimbursements. We're still working on that. We have an accountant over there that's working on it, so hopefully.
Nice. So you would choose where to film
Based on
something
taxes?
Based on
Yeah.
taxes? Yes.
Yeah, I actually just wrote a blog on it, because right now in Atlanta they're currently filming this month, only in October, they're filming 41 movies and TV shows. They've got a 30% transferable tax credit. Pinewood's building a 1 billion square foot worth of sound studios, office, all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be second behind Hollywood as far as studios go. And they're building an entire surrounding town because it's in Fayetteville, which is an hour outside of Atlanta. So it's basically it's the next Hollywood, and they have better tax breaks. So you see, like, the last 3 Marvel movies were made there. The next 3 are going to be made there. So it's a big kind of thing. So tax breaks and credits are everything we dream of.
Yes.
You know what? Everybody's got. West Virginia has some good tax credits on lower budget films, because a lot of times there's a minimum that you have to do. So I think West Virginia is like $25,000 minimum, but you have to hire West Virginia people, which is fine. There's a lot of great people everywhere. So
Right.
if you guys get some tax credits, I may be filming here.
Do you hear that, North Carolina?
Tax credits.
We're talking to you guys
Tax
in Raleigh
credits are
right
your
now.
friend. Yeah. No, they're good. The thing is when you bring in cast and crew, you're spending money, your hotels, food,
Yes.
lodging, everything, and I think that's very important. People say, "Oh no, we're spending our money." No, you get it back. I think it's there's a ratio, and you end up getting it back by 70% is
Yeah.
the statistic. So yeah. This is a beautiful place to film.
Right, yeah, you just have you have the beach, you have the mountains, you have the swamps from one of our films yesterday.
Yeah, Soul was made here. I don't know if anybody of you guys saw that, but I thought that was a great film, and it was filmed entirely, wasn't it?
Yeah, on Jockey's Ridge, so.
Yeah.
Which you'll drive by, if you do go to the Lost Colony, you'll see it when you drive by.
If I disappear, you know where I'll be.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks again
Thank
so
you.
much. It's
Thank
just
you.
a pleasure meeting you, and thanks to all of you guys for being here.